I'm sorry.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. You told me you wanted me to call you, answer some questions.
Yeah. I got a question. Have you ever done any research on the Cape Verdean Jewish Cape Verdean?
Yeah. Have you spent any time on my website?
But we can't find it. Yeah, my brother's on the website. We can't seem to find it. We have to. He's looking at the website, but we didn't see anything on that.
Well, that's kind of hard. I'll tell you what. I'll go on the website right now. I'm at my computer. Because there's quite a bit on there. Well,
there is quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Yeah, but I can answer it for you if you want.
Well, I was just here, because I was just wanting to see if you have do you have any pictures or anything? I was looking at other website and I saw, the gravestone and the synagogue on the Jewish Cape Verde. And I just found it interesting. I'm just learning about it now. So since I learned about it, I got carrot. Because you want to know much about the Jewish Cape Verde, and that's what I was wondering.
Okay, so if you know about there's two stories, two sides to every story.
Two sides to every story.
You better believe it's their story and then there's the truth. All right? Now, if you do your homework, and the easiest way to be sure, instead of, because having faith and believing other people isn't really good because they could be wrong, So you have the most easiest thing in the world is the computer. You can go on Wikipedia, and what you do, you start connecting the dots. You put the keywords in, and you can study, and pretty much you're going to end up with a group called Nagas, because most of the books that are written by Anglo-Saxon, European people. The ones that are, the information that you'll get some of, but you'll get an African version of it, African American version of it, but it'll be more detailed. The problem with the African American version is that it won't have pictures because they're not accessible. They won't have the research and resources that the Anglo-Europeans had when they published. You follow? So
is there a way you could send me some stuff on my computer?
I could, but that'd only make you lazy. You won't learn much.
Oh, I see.
See, you could take my word for it, or you could do the homework and you get all the details.
Oh, yeah, okay. I guess, like you said, I'm doing your research. And,
well, I'll give you a summary of what the Cape Verdean Jews is really all about. Are you familiar with the occult at all?
The what?
Occult. O-C-C-U-L-T. Occult.
No.
You got your husband with you?
Yes, my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law. Can you put it on speaker, and that way I can speak to all three of you?
Yeah, you're on speaker.
Oh, okay, good. Thing isn't an issue because we're in America. We've got to deal with here and now, and 51% of America is biracial. So once the whites get over it and the blacks get over it, the race issue is not going to be important. What's going to be important is the DNA, the bloodline. Now, the Cape Verdean people, you only get a history that goes to the European, and that's 1400s, okay?
Right.
The 1400s, just about anybody that's Cape Verdean, including the consulate of Cabo Verde, will give you a Portuguese version of what's happening. But if you look at my website and the videos, you'll see that lot of similar secret societies as the Masons, only they called other things, such as the Brotherhood of Madeiras. You know, it's hard for me to talk with that background.
So I guess if you send it on my computer, on the, oh yeah, it is on the website. Well, what I could do is, I'll maybe, I just got home from Canada. We had a little time at the house. What I'll do is, what I'll do is, like, if you could call me tomorrow, and I'll go on my website, and I'll put it, and then you can send me some information, and then I can do the research that you send me.
Okay, that's an excellent idea. But like again, I'm going to give you a brief summary, less than a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Up until recently, I'll say the year 2000, the millennium changed, and what happened was the Sons of the American Revolution and the Cape Verdean and African representatives of the bloodline got together in Plymouth at the gravesite called Parting Ways. Now, Parting Ways is located on a ley line, and all important structures and ancient sites are on ley lines, all right, where they cross at. And they perform what they call, you'll see that on the website too, a ceremony.
I heard about that.
Okay, in this ceremony, the secret was the seal of the Sons of the American Revolution was broke, and they had to reinstate all 5,000 brothers, because up until that point there, nobody even knew that there was 5,000 members of the Continental Army in there, and they were Masons, most of them.
Right.
So long story short, they had made a deal, and the deal was to keep the secret from the Negroes. And for doing so, this group of blacks that fought with Washington would become Prince Hall Masons, and they would be benefiting almost up to an equal with white people, as long as Washington had control.
Right.
All right. Well, that happened all the way up until Abe Lincoln and the Civil War. All right. Now, all those Negroes, Malcolm called them house Negroes, but all those, usually Prince Hall and reverends and ministers and so forth, their job was to keep the Negro under control. And for doing so, they'll live better, you know, and so on, etc. That's why Malcolm said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. So everything goes to this site in the cemetery in Plymouth, because that's the Stargate or portal in which a ceremony was performed to reveal this to the rest of the world. Okay? Now, by doing so, that ended the race, because the Cape Verdeans are actually the first hybrid. And it was on Cape Verde Islands that they made the ritual of creating, let us make man in our image, and that was the Negro. All right? Now to take the person that took care of that Negro was the bastard sons and daughters of the slave masters who belonged to the, right. Okay, now these.
It's like a plot for everything.
Right. Now, you know anything about the Anunnaki?
The Anunnaki?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the Anunnaki.
Or the sun.
I have friends that talk about the Anunnaki.
Okay, well, you know in the Bible where it says the sons of God saw that the woman. I guess it's hard to talk, so you got enough.
Take you off the speaker, though, because I have my little niece. Go ahead. Tell me about the Anunnaki then.
All right, well, as people are finding out, there seems to be awakening going on all over the world. And in America, the awakening is taking place because a lot of unseen things are going on in plain sight. Okay?
Well, do you believe in the Anunnaki?
Well, they do. That's what's important. If they believe in it, then it exists, but not in my world. In other words, the Anunnaki can't touch me or my family or my people because we were created in God's image and they were created in ours.
Right.
Okay? And the whole thing about, in fact, all the religions only go back maybe 6,000 years. But every day they're finding archaeology where it goes back 400, 500,000 years. You know,
yeah, I know someone that actually has a book on Anunnaki, and he's publishing it, and he feels once it comes out, he doesn't think he's going to have a life. People will kill him.
Well, evidently, here's the thing about the Anunnaki. If you don't understand what you're doing, if you're dealing with certain powers here, occult means hidden. You're dealing with forces spoken of in the Bible that it's not flesh and blood. All right, you're dealing with forces, and if a person, say for example.
I didn't want to sleep that night. That's why when he was talking about this Anunnaki, like this part of me don't like to hear certain things because it would just bother me.
Well, that's why that's why I agreed to talk to you. See, I don't usually teach women, or I never did, but now I realize that I have to. What it boils down to is that the technology of these entities, and I'll call them entities because they could be interdimensional, they could be spiritual, they could be aliens, they could be just hybrids. But the point is, they're not normal, they're not natural. And they were here long before what we remember. They were here before history.
Did they have a documentary on it? On a documentary? Because I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've never seen any documentary.
Yeah, but see, here's like I was saying, you're not going to see this stuff on TV. You're not going to.
No?
Hell no. You'll see 99% of what you're talking about, but that 1% that's important is where they'll mislead you. That's anytime they promote something, the devil's only going to support his own. He's not going to support something detrimental to him. So they know the truth is out there because of the internet. So what they do is they come up with a whole bunch of order out of chaos. You know, they create a problem, offer a solution. You know what I mean, and then take your rights away and stuff. All right. So, long story short is this. You can't get this information from public media, or you can't get it. You can't get the truth from none of the radio, TV, and newspapers. You're not going to get it in the schools. Anything that's funded by the bankers, anything that's funded by the government, you're not.
We do make some funding from the bank. I'm learning that now.
Okay, anything from that deals with finances is under control of this world. Okay.
Yeah, that I know.
You can't make the transition, or let's say you can't wake up if you're dreaming. You're dreaming because if you're dreaming, you're still asleep. I really don't know if you can hear me because I hear so much noise.
Yeah, so that is interesting though.
Okay, well, like you said, we could probably talk when you ain't got all that background because I can't tell if I'm getting through.
No, it's better. Okay, I'm gonna, it's just I have my little niece, but now I'm in my own apartment. So, but the thing is, they're finding all these things that they were saying.
They're external things, you know, you're expecting something external coming into you like DMT and then some chemical reaction making you do what? Chemicals. Why do those chemicals do what they do? Chemicals are only energy like everything else.
Oh, there you go. All right. For 30 seconds, I want you to just listen. Okay?
You will see visions with the pineal.
No disrespect to me.
You will
just 30
see
seconds, because
when you close your eyes.
Like I said, I'm not used to
sometimes deep in meditation.
With men, and I can tell them.
After that, you acquire this light to you. By the way, the pineal gland glows.
You're thinking left brain. I'm thinking right brain.
It glows.
We got to.
Mine is glowing blue right now.
So 30 seconds.
People that have come to the meditation group begin to start glowing
what
also.
You're getting and what you're seeing is a fear
This is
factor.
magic what has happened.
See, everything boils down to fear. We don't accomplish or do things or have any success in life because of fear. Fear has been put in us since cradle to grave. It will always be put into us. That's their only weapon, is fear. The first thing they did when they destroyed the history books and conquered countries and world and burned all the books and stuff, the first thing they did was put fear into the people. Well, the Anunnaki, yeah, but you're thinking about when they made UFOs back in the 30s and 40s, they started the UFO thing. They gave you the flying saucer. That's not what a flying saucer looks like, and it's not, I mean, those are all man-made. Life form in the universe is interdimensional, and these Anunnaki are, how you call it, the angels. We'll go with that. Angels and demons, okay? They don't have a body. They can take they can possess or take over the body of animals and human beings who are not doing right.
Oh my God.
So what they do is they embed themselves in your brain as a thought form. Like, for example, or say, for example, a young man gets up in the morning, he's got everything good intention, kisses his wife goodbye, shakes the, off his boots and gets out there and goes to work. All right, while he's working, a young lady walks by with hot pants on and looking all fine, and his mind goes where? Boom. Now, who brought him there? What happened there to make...
Congress shall now vote for approval of H.R. 8791, the Homeland Terrorism Preparedness Bill. Said bill requests emergency response funding up to and including, I'm sorry, this section is classified, dollars to prepare for a national level terrorist attack and or attack from classified. Funding for first responder personnel and vehicles would be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by classified. This funding shall commence in conjunction with the first attack on classified, or the first large-scale outbreak of classified, dependent upon which comes first. Civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of classified, including irradiated classified, with possibility of classified airborne, classified flesh-eating, classified, and or all of the above in such event as classified spewing, classified escape, are released or otherwise become uncontrollable. Air Force units may also be directed to combat said classified due to their enormous size and otherworldly strengths. Should event occur in urban areas, Jesus, that's classified, far surpassing our darkest nightmares. Should casualties exceed, classified body disposal actions shall be halted and associated resources shall be reallocated to classified underground, classified protected birthing centers. A new Bill of Rights shall be drafted and approved by classified. Having now reviewed the bill, I ask you to please cast your vote.
Even when we walked the world, your kind struggled to understand our existence. We were more advanced in time. Your minds were not yet ready. Still not. Maybe never. No matter. You may not comprehend us, but you will comprehend our warning. You must.
None of what you are saying makes sense.
Our words are not meant for you.
What are you talking about? There's no one else here.
Enough. I do not wish to speak with you, but through you. You are the prophet. You've played your part. You anger him, but please be silent, that we may commune. Listen. flesh and our home still whole, your kind betrayed us. We who made you, we who gave you life, we were strong, but you were many, and both of us craved war. So busy were we with earthly concerns, we failed to notice the heavens, and by the time we did, the world burned until naught remained but ash. It should have ended then and there, but we built you in our own image. We built you to survive, and so we did. You were our numbers, your kind and mine. It took sacrifice, strength, compassion, but we rebuilt. And as life returned to the world, we endeavored to ensure this tragedy would not be repeated. But now we are dying, and time will work against us. Truth turned into myth and legend. What we built, misunderstood. Let my words preserve the message and make a record of our loss. But let my words also bring hope. You must find the other temples, built by those who knew to turn away from war. They worked to protect us, to save us from the fire. If you can find them, if their work can be saved, so too might this world. Be quick, for time grows short, and guard against the cross, for there are many who will stand in your way. It is done. The message is delivered. We are gone now from this world. All of us. We can do no more. The rest
Good
is
man,
up to you.
good intention. Okay.
Well, I would say is the sin of lust.
Don't understand.
Okay, but where did the lust come from? Because it's not natural for a girl to walk by dressed like that. You see what I'm saying? So these ideas come from the TV that said, hey, go buy this dress that all the men will look at you. You know what I mean? And the guy, he's been watching TV all night, and every commercial got these girls wearing them dresses. So in his mind is embedded all this sexual. So when one walks by, these are tricks in technology. They call it angel technology. Because angels are not really bad.
Except the ones that are fallen from grace.
No, they weren't created bad. See, Satan actually believes he's serving God better than man. He's doing his job, testing us out.
What about the giants? The hogs, the big giants, because of the fallen angel that had sex with the humans.
Those giants died out in the flood, except for some.
Right, except for one.
No, not one.
No.
Many of them survived. But not millions and not thousands, but maybe a few hundred.
A few hundred?
Yeah, and they all became, with each place that they lived, they became the gods and the kings.
Right.
And the pharaohs.
And so there was one ark that was actually tied to them with ark, because everyone's supposed to be in pairs, but the ark didn't have a pair, and one of the kings didn't have a pair. And how I read that was in the Jewish book.
Yeah, well, you got to understand this. Here's how we come in the picture, okay? King Solomon, right, was in he was up there in northern Africa, all right? Southern Africa was ruled by the ancient gods, which were, they go back further than the northern, all right? See, in ancient time, men weren't kings. It was the women. It was a matriarchal society. Women ruled.
I saw that on the National Geographic thing.
Yeah. Well, see, exactly. Women ruled, and not only ruled, the combination. The men served the women to make the woman happy, and she gave them happiness. You know, it was a mutual balance there.
Right.
And then the priests and the kings and stuff like that They wanted to get macho on everybody and take the power away from women, and they started their own religions and so on. And in these religions, they made man the boss and women nothing but slaves.
Wow, that's interesting.
And when it came time to America, well, actually, let's get back to Ethiopia. See, King Solomon was in the north, and Queen Sheba was in Ethiopia in the south. Now, Queen Ethiopia had, she direct descendants from Eve, because she still had the seeds from the original tree of life. All right?
Wow.
It's called frankincense. So it's the sap that comes from the trees that grew in her groves, nowhere else in the world, were from the tree of life, and it had healing, and also it had ability to say foresee the future.
Wow.
Okay, so it was a drug. Okay, it still is, but you know, today people don't know how to use it. All right, but you notice if you go in the Catholic Church and stuff, and they burn them incense, and everybody says, "Gee, it's nice and peaceful in here." I feel so submissive, on your knees, up and down. Well, that's the incense getting to you.
Powerful, the most dangerous. It's called Lenufsur. There was their name was on the shield here, but I wrote about it and I sent it to a lot of people, and they took it out. You see, Lojan, it means lodgers. This is in Tolikoven, near Bern. The Druids, this lodge, Amort, and here it was written, I still got a picture where it's written on it. They gave the Statue of Liberty to the United States. So they're ruling the United States as well. They spent so much money, you know, to have it built in France and to have it sent over. And of course the Statue of Liberty is ISIS, no doubt, eh? And they put a big antenna here for cell phones, you know. And of course they don't give a damn if the children next door, if they can still sleep in the night, and of course they can't. And there, these guys don't give a damn. You see, I asked them for help. In all, there's a letterbox here somewhere. There it is. And I asked them for help. All 4 lodges, none of them even replied. This is the kind of people they are, right? Yeah, so this is the Jewish cemetery in Bern, in Wankdorf. See? So let's go in and see. Let's see what surprises there are. So first of all, we got the Grail. Means our blood is here, our pharaonic blood is here. Right? And then as we look, it's full of obelisks. Freemasonry temple, the triangle of the Freemasons. More obelisks, more. It's full of it, more. This guy, he was a lawyer and a senator. Look, Conseiller National, senator here in Switzerland and Bern. High positions. Obelisks, it's full of it. Absolutely full of obelisks here. On this one here it says, Auf Wiedersehen, see you again. This is a very special one here. Yeah. So again, the obelisk is a phallic symbol, and as it is carved on top, it's a symbol of the circumcision. Because that comes from the pharaohs, the Jews, the Arabs, the Americans of course, they all have it from the pharaohs. The Americans can be considered as half Muslims now, as they're being circumcised. 97% of the man. This is really a pact with the devil. I mean, if you do believe in God, you should leave the body as He created it. And don't mess around with it. Don't butcher it. Eh? There's a Freemason. Shake hands. It's a huge one. Like in Washington, D.C. Absolutely huge. I must have spent a lot of money. Just, Freemasonry, Freemason Lodge, the triangle of the Freemasons, the joining here, from there to there. Mr. Bloch, like Mr. Blocher. He's like the Swiss Hitler, Mr. Blocher. There's a Pharoah as well, another obelisk. Behind there's an obelisk. It's full of it. Absolutely full of it. More here. A white one. Nice. So these guys here, they're not some poor shepherds like, it's being said in the Bible. These are pharaohs. These are pure pharaohs. And the Jews tell us we were 430 years prisoners with the pharaohs. They killed our children under 4 years. They killed our men. They put them into slavery. So why, for God's sake, they put the symbol of their enemy on top of their graves? They're lying. They're lying. You don't put the symbol of the enemy on top of your grave. These are pharaohs. And these people, how can they be so... the shepherd usually doesn't get so intelligent and doesn't have so much power. But these are pharaohs. Wow, it's big. Look. And more obelisks here. And more there. And more there. Pharaonic cemetery. But it doesn't mean all the Jews are pharaohs. There still are the Hebrew people. And the pharaohs are also ruling in Israel over the Hebrew people. That's my opinion. And it was only the Hebrews that got killed. Like during the Holocaust. And the pharaohs did it. I mean, Mr. Hitler, his grandfather was a pharaoh. A pharaonic Jew. His name was Frankenberger. And it was supposed to be a Rothschild. There are rumors he was a Rothschild. And, the Freemasons and the pharaohs, they had the idea to murder all the Hebrew people because they were the first victim. They were the first victims, remember, of the pharaohs. 430 years prisoners. And the Hebrew people, actually, before, they were like an Arab tribe. The male, the patriarch, he was the head of the family, like Arabs. And the pharaonic system traditionally is a female system, Cleopatra, and they have the women have so much power. And the Antique was the only civilization where womanhood, and the sisters of Isis had so much power. Yeah. And because there were still a lot of Hebrew people, and they had a lot of pharaonic genetics inside of them, but they were not initiated. So they were danger, and they reproduced so largely, in Poland and in Russia. There were millions of them, and they formed a danger because they had this genetic superiority, but they were not initiated. So the pharaohs finally had to do the final solution to get rid of them. And the Germans, the warriors, a stupid warrior who doesn't really think, it just takes orders. They were just the workers, like in a beehive. They were just the workers who did it. But it was not the mind. They're too stupid. That was not the mind. Get out of here. The mind was pure pharaonic. Freemasons. The Second World War and Hitler, they were being financed by America, by Henry Ford, by the Freemasons. Eh? So again, not all the Jews are bad, I think. I don't think so. But unfortunately, the Hebrew people, the good ones actually, they were all murdered by these pharaohs. Most of them. And what was left, they went to Israel. So I think actually a Zionist is not a bad thing. A Zionist is somebody who's fed up with Europe. I mean, aren't we all? And he just wants to live in the Middle East, you know, next to the Mount Zion. I mean, there's nothing wrong about that, is there? But apparently the Arabs, they're not too fond of the idea. But what is worse, we should forget the word Zionist. We should just think pharaohs. They're the bad ones, eh? They're the baddies. And the pharaohs, they're ruling over Israel as well, over the Hebrew people. They're ruling the whole world. So I suppose this part of the cemetery is the pharaonic part. There are no stones, like in Schindler's List, you know, there's no stones put here. Maybe that's because they're dead and gone and they're old, there's the relatives, you know, there's too old, there's nobody. The sons and daughters, the grandsons, they're all already disappeared. So there's nobody left to put a stone on it. But there's place, you see, well, maybe this is especially some place to put a stone on it. Yeah. But anyway, there's another part here where there's no obelisk. You see that behind here. So maybe that's the Hebrew part. Let's go and have a look. See, that's the pharaonic part. If we look here, maybe we can call this the Hebrew part. Well, there's a little obelisk there, only a little one. Lots of stones here all over. But again, maybe that's only because this is new. Later, this is new. And the sons and daughters are still alive. There are some obelisks there, a little one. I mean, labour costs too much nowadays. Maybe in those times, like behind here, they still had a lot of money to do this. There's another obelisk. Freemasonry, a ball, so we rule the world. The joining here, there's the ball, symbol of the world domination. Definitely Freemasons. So even within the, let's say, the Hebrew part, there still are a lot of pharaohs here, apparently. There's another obelisk there. Yeah. So I don't know. It's probably all mixed, pharaohs and Hebrews. Yeah. Full of obelisks, yeah. Well, at least these are no just biblical shepherds or their offspring. These are pharaohs. These are the true pharaohs, and they got all the power. Look at it, how big it is. Just look at the size of it. There's in Washington D.C. They show that in every movie in Washington, or from Hollywood. Hollywood, which is pharaonic. It's the biggest enterprise in the world, the biggest business. Hollywood is, and they show the Washington Monument, as they call it, the big obelisk. They show it in every film as a sign, as a symbol. That means we made the movie. We rule what. We indoctrinate your children's minds, otherwise we wouldn't have any more police force or soldiers in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in all those other wars if we couldn't present it as being so nice, with some nice music. When somebody gets a 9mm in front of his, between his eyes and in his head. See? With some nice music, they show the big warrior. He can finally get rid of all his aggressions. I mean, this is the thing to do if you want to be a man, you know. But these are only soldiers. There's a difference between a warrior and a soldier. What I'm doing here, that's warrior's business. I don't need a general to take up orders. I can make up my strategy myself, you see. I'm not a soldier. Get out of here. So, mothers, please make more warriors, so the pharaohs cannot take your children and make soldiers out of them, and you'll lose them. See? Oh, here we got the Washington Monument again, sort of. So this is the old part of the cemetery. There are 3 parts apparently, and oh, they do put stones here. Well, look at it. There are stones, and they left a space for it to put the stones, as here. This is the old part. And another one that's full of it. And actually, I think the Orthodox Jews are probably the priests of Amun from Egypt. But then again, within the Orthodox Jews as well, there are pharaohs and there are Hebrews. They're not all bad, I don't think so. But the pharaohs are. And the pharaohs are the biggest enemy of the Hebrew people. They always were, and they always are. Yeah. Even Hebrew soldiers are being sent to war, even if they don't want to. I remember there were special forces, and they were just sacrificed in some sort of a. They had to do some in a poisonous river. So even the pharaohs had sacrificed Hebrew people in Israel. So wake up, people. Do please wake up. Some more obelisks in the old part here, full of it. Some more needles. Yeah. Some more needles. I remember the film about these, what was it? About the Jewish mob. A long film. One of them was called Needles. Well, here it is, the needle. Eh? So it was Once Upon a Time in the West, or Needles. So now we know what a needle is. He was a kosher Nostra. So this is where the Swiss CIA is. There's the entrance there. They're really bad people. They killed a lot of people by O2T torture, actually. They murder people here. See the fence there as well. Swiss flag, the Templars flag there. See? Very, very dangerous. So this is the famous bear pit here in Bern, where all the tourists go, you see. It's like a castle, but this is not important. What's important is this here, an obelisk. There. This is the joining on top here. The symbol of the world domination. And this is the sun hieroglyphics. One of the most important symbols. You see it everywhere. And it's so hidden. It's so hidden. You see it as well on American airplanes, you know, with the star in the middle. And the 2 bars on each side. That's the sun hieroglyphics. And actually, the German army, they had the SS. If you write ISIS in Pharaonic, like in Hebrew or the Arabic, you write only the consonants. So if you write ISIS, you get SS. If you take the symbol of the SS, it's skull and bones. So under the symbol of total Pharaonic and Freemasonry symbolics, the SS murdered people all over Europe, and they got killed themselves. So SS, skull and bones. See, SS is ISIS. Good. Let's go and see further up. So this is the most important symbols. You see it a lot in American movies as well. This one here. Then the joining, very important. The world domination, of course the obelisk, and the triangle of the Pharaoh, of the Freemasons. Well, you don't see it here. Okay, so this is still in Bern, Altenberg. And here's the river, the Aare next to it, the obelisk with a grain on it. That means our seed is here, our descendants are here. It's still the same thing. And this is this phallic, it's a symbol of the, it's also the symbol of their way of warfare. Let's mix first. And then we conquer the people from the inside out, like a virus, like the enemy within. You know, and we have our secret lodges, the Freemasons. Let's take, for instance, like here in Bern, or in Switzerland, or in Europe, you see a white woman. Well, she's apparently one of the witches, the sisters of Isis, and she has a black dude, and they're going to have a child, which is the child is going to be brown, like the offspring. Here in Switzerland, the father usually never sees his child anymore because he's going to be sent away. He's going to be extradited back to Africa. The poor guy. If it's a lady child, the brown one, she's going to look for another black dude at the train station, the railway station, or the disco, and they're going to have a baby. And the baby will already be much blacker, much browner. The father is going to be sent away, the child is going to be risen in a black manner, as always. 3 generations later, the offspring will be black as a Central African from Congo. But inside is what? Yeah, it's white, of course. And then they're going to put the white nigger, they're going to put him he's going to do some academic studies, you know, at the university. And then they're going to put him as a president, like the president of Congo, Joseph Kabila. He's a white nigger, and all the black dudes think, oh, he's white, he's one of us, he's a black dude. He's got our collar, he speaks like us, but he isn't. And this is how the whiteys, they can rob Africa, and they can make wars, so the petrol and the diamonds, they all get cheaper, and kill everyone. And of course we know now it's not the whites who have the power. They were just the soldiers, Germanic warriors like whom the pharaohs could use so well, you know. So, and of course the same system, the same technique or strategy the pharaohs did in Europe as well, like with the 5 generations and the mixing. That's why we have the obelisk everywhere. Yeah. With our seeds here, see? Good. This church too, to follow obelisks. What's an obelisk doing on a church? Well, it's from the priest of Amun Ra. Bad ones. So, obelisks on a church, you know, the Vatican. Triangle of the Freemasons. And this bridge was built by Napoleon, who ruled like 20 years in Bern, in the upper class in Bern, the capital of Switzerland. It comes from that time, they call it the Bernburger. Yeah, and Napoleon, he loved Egypt, as we know, right? So here we see the joining there, the triangle of the Freemasons. I counted the stones, there are 33, and the top stone is called the keystone. There's all the pictures in the newspapers, they're called keystone. No. Very Masonic. They're inside us, like a virus. How do we get them out of here? There we got the sun hieroglyphics, the house next to the bridge. Let's have a closer look at the obelisk. Here's the house. On top of it, well, let's show here. The sun hieroglyphics. It's a real perverted symbol because it's so hidden. It's so hidden. There again, oh, there. And on top is a grail, that means our blood is here, we are here. Our grains are here, our blood is here. So this is the same bridge, and I was here in 2007, and about there underneath the guy jumped off the bridge. Smacked the floor, and it was such a bang. It was like 2 cars hitting each other. Amazing, a metallic bang actually. Yeah, so here's the obelisk as on the cemetery when somebody died, you know. Yeah. And then I went to this restaurant here, which is called Altenberg. It's Turkish now. And exactly there, this last table, there was the one of the 7 presidents of Switzerland. They got 7 presidents here. Her name was Doris Leuthard, and she was sitting just next to the sun hieroglyphics here. She knew it, and I asked her. I said, "Your citizens are jumping off the bridge." I said, "Oh, I'm not interested. This is not my job." Very cold. And she was talking with a guy. I think he was from the safe house of the Mossad, which is his next.
Hello everyone, it's Dan from Press for Truth, and I thought I'd make a little video today just to show you my collection of Illuminati archives, rare documents, rare books, and just information on the New World Order in general. So I've laid out a few things here that I'll show you. And I'll start with this one. This is a Niles Weekly Register from November 28th, 1829. So we have the year 1829, very old document here. And let me just very carefully open it up and I'll show you an article in here. I'll just read it. Jerusalem. There is a report that the Rothschilds have purchased Jerusalem. We see nothing improbable that in the pecuniary distress of the Sultan he should sell some part of his dominions to preserve the rest, or that the Rothschilds should purchase the ancient capital of their homeland. They are wealthy beyond desire. It is quite reasonable to suppose that they may seek something else to gratify their ambition, that shall produce most important effects. If secured in the possession, and which may be brought about by money, they might instantly, as it were, gather a large nation together, soon to become capable of defending itself, and having a wonderful influence over the commerce and condition of the East, rendering Judea, again, the place of deposit of a large portion of the wealth of the ancient world. Now it goes on to say in the bottom here, the Sultan is in great difficulty. Baron Rothschild was proceeding to Constantinople, and a second rebuilding of the temple is not among the most strange things expected in these strange times. So again, this is something else. This is an article stating that the Rothschilds have purchased Jerusalem, and that they are planning the rebuilding of the temple. Now again, this is from 1829, a time when the press wasn't nearly as controlled as it is today, so they were able to get away with putting stuff like that out there. Another example of that, we have Harper's Weekly from September 22nd, 1894. If I can show you what I have here, this is something else here too. We have an article on the Bohemian Grove, the Bohemian Club of San Francisco. Very long article, and it goes on to say stuff like this. Over in a little hollow a few hundred yards from the grove was built a funeral pyre on which turpentine had been sprinkled. The coffin was laid on this pyre. The high priest took his stand on the platform beside it. Around him, in a semicircle, the choristers and demons with their torches were grouped. The high priest went through a ceremonial in which the choir behind him intoned or sang the words he spoke. He called on the Bohemians to present their carking cares and heartaches to be put on the pyre and burned up. Then came some jokes pertinent to club members and matters. Then he invoked the Saint John, adopted by the club for his appropriateness in several ways, and suddenly an enormous figure of Saint John in his robes burst into flame. The pyre was lighted. Care and the Blue Devils went up in the most beautiful...
Here, and I'll just read with the obelisk on it. This is the safe house here. This is where they see the symbol. This is where they come when they want to put out some Arabs in Europe. And this is a camera. And it can swing around. Probably will now. Yeah. Alright. So there's the bridge with the obelisks. Yeah. And here is the Mossad safe house. This is here. They just take it easy, a nice tree here. Watch some TV. And then they concentrate on putting out some tangos, Arabs. So there's the obelisks. In that street is the safe house, and here's a Turkish restaurant. The hitmen are surely just going to eat here. They've got all the protection of the Swiss state. Oh, you know. So if you just look around here, you know, you'll find them. Yeah. And then they go and swim in the river, you know. So maybe somebody can do something better. So here we got a very big pharaonic temple. Very big. Next to the Vatican. Excuse me, I meant to say next to the embassy of the Vatican in Bern. Yeah. So here we got the joining. You see? The triangle of the Pharaoh, of the Freemasons. There's Isis on top. With breast. Here we got it's the devil. And this is the all-seeing eye. Like on the dollar. In gold. It's so important they put it in gold. Here we got the sun hieroglyphics. It's all there. See? It's all there. And there are two obelisks next to it. The world domination, the joining, again the world domination next to it here, and another obelisk with the world domination. Good. This is, yeah. And this is the old Egyptian pharaonic bird. And next to it is the garden of the embassy of the Vatican. So let's go and have a look. Here we got the Vatican door. Well, with the big temple with the obelisks here.
Crack in the Washington Monument is at the very top of the monument, where everyone is familiar with where the stones narrow and go to the tip of the very top of the Washington Monument. The crack, which is about 4 inches in length, is on one of the sides of that area where it's narrows. In geometry, you'd call it a pyramidion, a four-sided triangular object. Anyway, that crack is there. The National Park Service has a structural engineering firm inside of the Washington Monument assessing the situation, gathering information. That structural engineering firm likely will need to return tomorrow and probably again on Friday in order to pull together and gather all the information that they need to gather. They will then write a report, at which point after that the National Park Service will assess the situation and begin repairs.
How do you repair something like this? I mean, do you work from the inside or from the outside? Any idea?
We don't know yet. We don't know the extent of the damage. We need more data. That's what the structural engineering firm is trying to provide for us.
You know, I've been tweeting about this quite a bit today and a little bit yesterday, and a lot of people have actually sent me some tweets asking, well, how do they know these cracks weren't there before? How often is this monument looked at and checked? Do you know the answer to that?
Yes, it's inspected daily.
Every day?
Yes, and these cracks were not there until the earthquake happened yesterday. This crack, is a result of the earthquake or an act of Mother Nature.
So what is your biggest concern or the biggest concern right now?
The biggest concern is the visitor safety. That is why the monument, Washington Monument, is closed and will remain closed indefinitely until all information can be gathered, until an assessment can be made as to what work needs to be done in terms of repair work, and then the repair work needs to be done itself. So in order to ensure the visitor safety, the National Park Service will keep the Washington Monument closed until a determination is made that we can reopen.